To start off, I'll ask you, can you give your name, role, and how long you've been working at your company?
Yeah, so my name is Daniel Shu. I am a product manager slash AI engineer at DataVisor, and I've been working here almost my full year. I'm going to be hitting my full year in about a month. I'm actually not a Stanford student. I was from UC Berkeley, graduated 2015 with an ECS degree and primarily focused on machine learning.
Great. Can you give a one-sentence summary of what your company does?
Yeah, so we do unsupervised machine learning and fraud detection. Yeah, one sentence.
What's your company's greatest challenge?
I would probably say our company's greatest challenge right now is growing. Right now, we deal with a lot of Chinese customers, and we've been expanding really, really heavily over there. And we need to pick up a lot of new AI engineers who have a background in working with large data sets, and also, are okay with working with Chinese customers.
Great. Can you give 3 adjectives that describe your company's work culture?
Let's see. Incredibly hardworking, extremely intelligent, and extremely talented, and honestly, goofballs. Not quite adjectives, but I think that does quite adequately describe DataVisor's work culture. Like everyone here on my engineering team, at least, is a PhD, and people are incredibly smart, but also like very, very silly. So.
Great. What gets you most excited about your company's future?
Mostly our customer growth in Asia right now. Every single year we pick up essentially like the best and brightest brand names in China. So, Alibaba, Momo, just essentially like the Googles and Facebooks over here, we're picking up inside Asia, and we're expanding there incredibly. We're picking up so many new customers over there, and working with that specific client base is very interesting. It's something that you don't get to see here in the U.S. And for me, that's what gets me excited. It's just completely new.
That's awesome. How does your company define success?
Specifically for an engineer role at the lower / junior levels, it's mostly just executing on your task that your lead has assigned, and just doing that really, really well. But that's just the base level of success. I think the next thing is you need to demonstrate initiative. You need to seek out other opportunities that are either within your role, like say, hey, you're an engineer, you find a piece of code that you think is poorly written, or that you think could be improved. You actively go tackle that, or outside your role. So for example, part of my job isn't to be a recruiter, but here I am doing recruiting interviews. I actually led the recruitment drive at UC Berkeley and to some extent at Stanford. So being able to find these opportunities is really important.
Wow, that's great. What's your favorite part of your job?
Honestly, just working with my coworkers. They're incredibly nice and incredibly intelligent people. This is the first company that I've worked with that has had more female engineers than male engineers on a team. So, and everyone is working on a machine learning / AI role. So it's incredibly interesting to be able to work on such a diverse team. Yeah.
Who's the coolest person that you've met on the job, or what is the coolest experience you have had on the job?
There are so many. All right, coolest person. So I have a coworker. His name's Julian Wong. We actually go play poker together all the time, and so he's like this, essentially like very, very talented amateur to almost semi-pro poker player, and he's been teaching me how to play poker. But I used to count cards for blackjack, so we essentially like teach each other how to gamble in our different games, and we go out and play together. Like when I say goofball, I truly mean it. You meet all sorts of really interesting characters here, and you can go on very, very exciting adventures together. So,
that's so exciting.
Yeah.
So what internship opportunities are available in your company? And then what kind of a candidate would be eligible?
Yeah, so we have 3 types of internships at DataVisor. One is on our trial / AI team, which is the team that I work on. Essentially, we have this core unsupervised machine learning algorithm that needs to be tuned for any particular client for a fraud use case. The second type of internship is a platform internship. Basically, somebody needs to go work on the core algorithm, build the features that make it extensible and easily usable by the trial team. And then finally, we have infrastructure engineers who basically, I would say, maintain our AWS instance. They are responsible for making sure that we stay online, that we adhere to security protocols. profiles. As far as the background, I would say like any CS bachelor's degree is definitely eligible for application. Although once again, most of our full-timers do come in at the PhD level. But that being said, like I'm an undergrad, you can definitely work here. It's not a problem. We generally prefer juniors and seniors, but if you're young and talented, we actually took a Stanford sophomore or freshman last year, and he did very, very well.
That's awesome. So what positions are available to recent grads? You kind of touched on that a little bit.
Basically everything that I just mentioned, as well as I think we are taking full-time applicants for our UI engineering team. So, with any type of a machine learning type company, you're not just spending all of your time coding, right? You also ideally want to be able to use internal tools that make your data analysis a little bit easier. And we have a UI engineering team dedicated specifically to that, as well as building external UI for our clients.
What are the top skills that you are looking for in applicants, and what is the best way you think to develop them?
So as far as skills go, obviously there's a core amount of like academic knowledge you need. Take a machine learning class, really understand all the different types of ML algorithms. A math background, especially as far as like probability, calculus, and linear algebra is useful if you want to go work on the AI engineering team. But if you don't care about AI, just systems knowledge is useful. That's just on the academic side. On the on just like the critical thinking side, I think it's really, really important to have a creative mindset. When you're working at a startup, to some extent, you need to be able to extend yourself in a variety of different ways. When I came here, I knew nothing about how fraud worked, and I knew nothing about how you can manipulate different systems. And I'll be honest, after coming here, it's kind of interesting the ways that you start to learn about how you can break apart like different social systems and just be like, oh, this is how I would like defraud this company. Because like as somebody who's supposed to prevent that, you got to figure out the ways that the attackers attack so you can defend against it. So
great.
Yeah.
What types of growth opportunities do entry-level employees have?
Yeah, so generally when you come into a place like DataVisor, we'll pair you with a mentor, and then you can essentially work with that mentor and grow. The mentor will be essentially responsible for your career development and making sure that you're going in the place that you want to be. It's similar to a system at say like a big company where if you were to go to Google or Facebook, you will be assigned a buddy. But I think the main difference at DataVisor is the amount of flexibility that you have. So let me give you an example. When I joined here at DataVisor, I was initially a product manager. Right, I wasn't supposed to touch the code, even though I was working on the AI engineering team, recommending internal tools to build, speccing them out, as well as leading the engineering meetings. Like I wasn't actually supposed to code, but like because I worked hand in hand with the CTO and some of the tasks actually required me to go actually learn how to do a deployment. I actually realized I kind of want to be in this hybrid role. So you can pick and choose your role as long as there's a need for it at the company and as long as your skill sets are a good fit. And yeah.
Great. My last question, this one's kind of a fun one. What is one way in which you think DataVisor has an exciting and important impact on the world?
Yeah, so right now I would say that fraud and essentially these types of really bad online practices are a huge drain on a lot of our platforms. So let me give you an example. The Russian media hacks in part occurred, the Russian media hacks on Facebook, essentially where they're manipulating news feeds and all that kind of stuff, in part occurred because you can mass register many different Facebook accounts, right? And what these Russians were doing is they were using bots to essentially change the rankings of different news articles, or specifically pinpoint certain news articles to be shown to different people based on the data that they were able to mine out. Of course, this is like a state level actor. You have lower level actors, you have crime gangs, you have mafias that also play in this space as well. But I think the main thing is just that like because our current e-commerce systems and social media systems are so fragile, it's really, really important to have good fraud prevention systems. And by working at a place like DataVisor, you can essentially help catch these bad guys before they do anything bad, right? So if you ever like want to go work for the cyber police, that's not the actual military or government, I think we're a pretty good choice for that. And it feels good to know that you're stopping them before anybody actually gets hurt, before anybody gets blackmailed. And yeah. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Daniel. That was so much fun to hear about your company, and you guys sound like you have a really big role in all of the security and fraud things going on in the world today.
Yeah, thanks, Lauren. I appreciate it. Yeah.